Most people assume the brain simply rests during sleep. But the reality is far more interesting. While you sleep, your brain becomes deeply active, clearing waste, organizing memories, restoring important chemical messengers. It's a time of quiet but essential renewal. And like any system working behind the scenes, it requires energy. As we get older, that energy becomes harder to maintain. Many adults over 60 describe a similar experience. Feeling mentally clear in the morning. But by evening, something feels different. Focus softens. Thinking feels slower. Simple thoughts seem to drift away. You may sit down to relax and notice yourself zoning out. Forget why you entered a room. Or wake up the next day still feeling slightly foggy. If this sounds familiar, you're certainly not alone. What many people don't realize is that aging brains often face a subtle challenge. They don't recharge as efficiently overnight. Not because anything is wrong, but because the brain may not be receiving the raw materials it needs to fully restore its energy supply. One of the most important pieces of this process: B vitamins. These nutrients play a central role in helping brain cells generate usable energy. They support mental clarity, memory function, and overall cognitive resilience. However, with age, the body often absorbs these vitamins less efficiently. Even a reasonably balanced diet may not always provide enough support for optimal nighttime recovery. And this can quietly contribute to that familiar evening mental slowdown. The encouraging news is this: the brain is remarkably adaptable. In many cases, it isn't struggling, it's simply undersupported. And meaningful improvement often begins with something very simple. Food. Certain B vitamin-rich foods can help nourish the brain's energy systems, especially when included in evening meals or light nighttime snacks. No extreme changes. No complicated routines. Just small, supportive adjustments. In today's video, we'll explore 3 simple foods that naturally provide key B vitamins, foods that are easy to find, easy to enjoy, and gentle on the body. If you're new here, welcome to Vital Health. If you're interested in practical, science-guided strategies for supporting a sharper, more resilient brain after 60, consider subscribing. You're in exactly the right place. Here is your soft-tone refined version, calmer, smoother, more reassuring, and natural sounding. Let's begin with a food many people already have at home, yet rarely think of as a brain-supporting ingredient: nutritional yeast. Despite its name, it's not the same as baking yeast. And while it's often associated with plant-based diets, its benefits extend well beyond that. In fact, nutritional yeast can be especially valuable for older adults. What makes it so interesting is its rich concentration of B vitamins, nutrients deeply involved in how the brain produces and manages energy. Even a small serving can provide meaningful amounts of key vitamins such as B1, B2, B3, B6, and B12. These vitamins don't simply support health in a general sense. They perform very specific roles inside the brain. Vitamin B1, for example, helps brain cells convert glucose into usable energy. Without sufficient B1, neurons may struggle to function efficiently, which can subtly affect mental clarity and focus. Vitamin B6 plays an important role in producing neurotransmitters, the chemical messengers involved in mood regulation, memory processing, and concentration. And vitamin B12. Perhaps one of the most important nutrients for aging brains. B12 helps maintain the myelin sheath, the protective covering around nerve fibers. This structure allows brain signals to travel smoothly and efficiently. As B12 levels decline, cognitive changes may become more noticeable. What's particularly important is that B12 absorption often becomes less efficient with age. Even individuals with reasonably balanced diets may experience lower functional level over time. Research has observed that subtle B12 insufficiency, sometimes even within normal blood ranges, may be associated with slower memory recall and reduced mental sharpness. B vitamins also contribute to regulating homocysteine, a compound linked to vascular stress in the brain. Maintaining healthy homocysteine levels has been associated with better long-term cognitive resilience. Some studies have suggested that adequate B vitamin intake may help support structural brain health as we age. While nutrition alone is never a cure or guarantee, it can be a meaningful piece of the larger picture. What makes nutritional yeast appealing is its simplicity. Rather than relying on multiple supplements, you obtain a spectrum of B vitamins from a single, gentle food source. And for many people, it's easy to incorporate into daily routines. Start small. Sprinkle 1 to 2 teaspoons over warm foods. Steamed vegetables. Soups. Mashed potatoes. Egg dishes. Its flavor is mild and savory, often described as slightly nutty or cheese-like. To preserve its nutrients, it's best added after cooking rather than exposed to high heat. Consistency matters more than quantity. Even modest, regular use can contribute to better nutritional support over time. Nutritional yeast isn't a miracle ingredient. But for many older adults, it can be a simple, practical way to help nourish the brain's energy systems, especially during the important overnight recovery period. Now let's turn to something small, fresh, and often underestimated. Sunflower sprouts. At first glance, they may seem like nothing more than a garnish, delicate greens resting quietly beside a meal. But nutritionally, they offer something quite valuable for the aging brain. One of their most important contributions is natural folate. Not synthetic folic acid, but bioactive folate, the form your body readily recognizes and uses. Folate plays a key role in a process known as methylation. This process is deeply involved in cellular repair, DNA maintenance, and the regulation of brain chemistry. It also supports the production of neurotransmitters, the chemical messengers linked to memory, focus, and emotional balance. As we age, methylation efficiency often declines. This is a normal biological shift, but it can influence how effectively the brain performs its nightly maintenance and restoration. Adequate folate intake helps support this system, particularly during sleep, when much of the brain's repair activity naturally occurs. Research has observed that lower folate levels are associated with reduced performance in areas such as short-term memory and verbal fluency. Encouragingly, improving folate intake through diet has been linked to measurable cognitive benefits over time. Sunflower sprouts also provide additional B vitamins, including B5 and B6. These nutrients contribute to energy metabolism and help support the production of acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter essential for learning and memory formation. Acetylcholine plays an especially important role during sleep, when the brain organizes and stabilizes newly formed memories. Vitamin B6, in particular, has been studied for its relationship with sleep quality and memory consolidation. Healthy dietary intake appears to support more efficient overnight processing. Beyond vitamins, sunflower sprouts naturally contain minerals such as magnesium and zinc. These nutrients help regulate nervous system function and contribute to maintaining a balanced internal environment. This is important because even low-grade inflammation can interfere with deep, restorative sleep, a critical window for cognitive recovery. Unlike stimulants that offer temporary alertness, nutrient-dense foods work more quietly. They help support the brain's long-term maintenance systems, the very processes that sustain clarity, stability, and resilience over time. Sunflower sprouts are not dramatic, but their effects can be deeply supportive. Adding them is refreshingly easy. A small handful can be included in evening meals, soups, egg dishes, warm plates just before serving. Because they are delicate, they're best added at the end rather than heavily cooked. No complicated preparation. Just gentle consistency. Sunflower sprouts are a wonderful example of something simple yet highly functional. Not a superfood in the trendy sense, but a food that can quietly support the brain's natural repair systems, especially during the important overnight hours. Let's look at one final food. It may not be trendy. It may not be colorful. But nutritionally, it offers something remarkably supportive for the aging brain. Pork tenderloin. Among whole foods, pork tenderloin provides a naturally rich combination of several key B vitamins, including B1, B3, B6, and B12. Each of these nutrients contributes in different ways to cognitive function and mental energy. And importantly, pork tenderloin is lean, typically easy to digest, and often well tolerated, even in evening meals. Vitamin B1 plays a central role in how brain cells generate usable energy from glucose. When intake is low, mental fatigue can become more noticeable, even when sleep duration appears adequate. Adequate B1 intake has been associated with better cognitive processing and mental responsiveness in older adults. Vitamin B3 contributes to maintaining healthy blood flow. Efficient circulation helps ensure that oxygen and nutrients are delivered throughout brain tissue, particularly important during the brain's overnight restoration processes. Vitamin B6 is involved in producing neurotransmitters such as serotonin and GABA. These chemical messengers help regulate relaxation and sleep stability. And sleep quality, as we know, is deeply tied to memory processing and cognitive clarity. Vitamin B12 deserves special attention. Absorption of B12 often becomes less efficient with age. Even individuals who consume adequate amounts may gradually experience lower functional availability. Animal-based sources of B12 are generally easier for the body to utilize, which is one reason lean proteins can play a helpful role in senior nutrition. Healthy B12 status is closely linked to memory function, nerve health, and overall cognitive resilience. Not because it is a superfood, but because it provides highly usable nutrients in a form the body readily recognizes. Simple, efficient, functional. Portion size matters more than quantity. A serving roughly the size of your palm is often sufficient. Best preparation methods: grilled, steamed, lightly baked. Pair with lighter foods in the evening. Steamed vegetables, soft greens, simple soups. Avoid heavily processed pork products. We're focusing on lean, center-cut tenderloin, minimally seasoned, gently prepared. The goal is not heaviness, but nourishment. Now that we've explored these three foods, let's bring them into something simple and sustainable. No drastic changes. No rigid rules. Just rhythm. A steady pattern of nutritional support. Include sunflower sprouts with dinner. Added gently to warm meals. Followed by a light sprinkle of nutritional yeast. Added after cooking. Include a small portion of pork tenderloin. Paired with lightly cooked vegetables. Optional. A small amount of nutritional yeast as a topping. This approach supports the brain with energy-related B vitamins, neurotransmitter-supporting nutrients, minerals involved in nervous system balance, without excess heaviness or complexity. With consistency, subtle improvements may begin to appear. Clearer mornings. More stable focus. Reduced evening mental fatigue. Not overnight transformation, but gradual support. Which is how the brain prefers to recover. Consistency over perfection. You do not need all three foods every day. You simply provide your brain with regular access to supportive nutrients. Think of each evening this way. Not just as preparation for sleep, but as preparation for tomorrow's clarity. Every night becomes an opportunity for restoration. Quiet. Steady. Supportive. Before we finish, let's pause for a gentle reminder. Your brain is not a machine that simply wears out. It is a living, adapting, constantly responding system. And even after 60, even after 70, it remains remarkably capable of renewal. Meaningful change does not always require dramatic action. Sometimes it begins quietly. One evening. One small adjustment. One simple choice that tells your body, you are still worth supporting. Because food is never just about filling a plate. It is about nourishing the system that holds your memories, your thoughts, your ability to stay present with the people and moments that matter most. Over many years of working with older adults, I've heard the same concern repeated countless times. Maybe it's just too late. And yet, again and again, when the brain receives consistent, targeted nutritional support, something shifts. Clarity gently improves. Focus feels steadier. Thinking becomes a little smoother, a little smoother, a little lighter. Not overnight miracles, but real, noticeable changes. Remembering a name. Following a conversation more easily. Waking up feeling more mentally present. These are not small victories. They are quality of life moments. And your brain remains deeply responsive to how you care for it. It is still listening. Still adapting. Still ready to work with you. So wherever you choose to begin. A spoonful of nutritional yeast. A handful of sunflower sprouts. A simple, nourishing meal. Begin gently. No pressure. No perfection. Just steady, consistent support. Because lasting change rarely comes from extremes. It grows from kindness and rhythm. If you've stayed with me to the end of this video, thank you. It tells me something important. You're not just seeking information. You're considering action. You're investing in your clarity, your independence, your future well-being. And that truly matters. If this video felt helpful, even in a small way, consider liking the video, sharing it with someone you care about, subscribing to Senior Health Compass. Together, we're building a community grounded in a simple belief. Aging does not have to mean fading. And before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Do you have an evening food that helps you feel clearer the next day? Or are you thinking about trying one of these tonight? Leave a comment below. I read every one. And your experience may encourage someone else more than you realize. Until next time. Take gentle care of yourself. Your brain is worth supporting. And so are you.